Design a fitness app for Facebook. Hey everyone, welcome back to another Exponent product management mock interview. Today we're going to have a product design, product sense type question, and we're going to be doing this with Ariel, who's a PM from Facebook, or known as Meta now. Before we dive into the actual mock interview itself, Ariel, do you mind just maybe introducing yourself for the audience?
Sure. So my name is Ariel. I'm based in New York. I joined Facebook or Meta a few months ago. And before that, I was running my own startup for 4 years. And my background was mostly in enterprise software.
Perfect. So we're super excited to have you on the show, and I'm looking forward to seeing how you're going to tackle this product design question. So this is what I'd like to ask. Design a fitness app for Facebook.
So I want to start first from asking some clarifying questions. And I think different candidates have different approaches for this. Like, I'll ask you multiple questions. Like, it's not a must to go through all of this. First, I want to ask you if there is some timeline for this exercise. Like, if there's no restriction, maybe I can make an assumption.
Yeah, there's no restriction. I'd love for you to make maybe an assumption or a guess.
Cool. So I think for MVP, I'll make an assumption of maybe 2 quarters. Of course, I think later, if we have more time, we can maybe discuss a longer term vision. Another thing that I always care about is the geography. And this is I'm based in the US. I know here the market, my friends are here. So I eventually may want to start from, let's say, from the US and later on roll it out globally. Another point that it's pretty important for me is on the strategy side. And strategy here, I usually like to, dive into 2 areas. First is the competitive landscape. So I understand that I need to design a fitness app. I know the market can be crowded. So I know, for example, there's the Fitbit app. So let's say we don't want to go and build something similar. And I know that Peloton has different services. So let's say I want to make sure when I'm designing or coming with some ideas, I take into account already what's existing today. Another thing that I want to focus on here is the Facebook, or say the Meta ecosystem. And what do I mean here? I can go and ask you if it should be on Facebook app or Instagram, on WhatsApp. But also we know that currently in the Meta ecosystem, there are the pages or groups when, let's say, people who are interested in fitness can meet and maybe already having some live classes or discuss fitness. So maybe we need to build on top of this. And we all know that there are the Instagram influencers, fitness influencers. So the question is, if we already have this infrastructure for the influencers to give the classes, do we need to build here something new or not? But all of this we'll take into account in our design process. Do you think there are any other aspects that maybe will help me to clarify this design exercise, or you think I covered most of them?
Yeah, I think this is enough. Maybe we can fill in more as we go along, but I'd love to see where you would take this.
Sure. So I think first, let's discuss what is the Meta mission. And we know it's eventually about helping people to build communities and bringing the world closer together, right? What is really important for me, when I'm coming to a design question, is to understand, okay, there's the big mission of Meta, but why does building a fitness app make here sense? And I think this is something that you as a candidate need to think about and come with some good explanation. And when you think about what is fitness, fitness can bring people together if you do group exercising, but also if you are getting fit and you are healthy, you are also a valuable member of the community. And this is why I think building a fitness app or designing a fitness app for Facebook or Meta makes a lot of sense. Now, when I'm thinking about the different product phases and let's say, or the life cycle of a product, there is like the adoption part, engagement, retention, and say monetization. And for this exercise, if we are building, let's say, on top of existing offerings, let's say based on existing features that we have in groups, or already on existing capabilities that we have in Instagram for influencers, maybe I'll focus on engagement, maybe later monetization. In this case, just because we're still not sure what will be the solution, I prefer for this phase, we'll focus on engagement, adoption and engagement, because maybe some of this will be like totally new, and maybe some of this will be like built on top of something that we already have. So we'll figure it out later, but this will be like my product focus when we'll come to discuss metrics.
Yeah, that makes sense. And we can focus on retention and monetization after we make sure we're building a product that's useful for the customer.
Sounds awesome. Now, the general overview, how I look at our process, and I'll state it here. We'll quickly go through the goal. I would say later we'll discuss user segmentation, which is extremely important here. Let me see. We can discuss after these pain points for the segment that we'll choose, solutions. And let's say if we have time, we can discuss launch metric and hopefully guardrail, let's say guardrail metric. And this will be like extremely important part, but it all depends if we'll have time. So if you're okay with the overview, I think we can start. The goal we already discussed, we need to launch a fitness app. I can go on Facebook. I can go, after we discuss the solution, I can always go and revisit the goal, but we want to launch this product in the next few quarters. Now, let's talk about user segmentation. So who eventually can use, and this is like what I will do here, I will cover like all the ecosystem. We'll see who are the relevant users for this product, and then we'll do some prioritization and figure out like on who we want to focus. Now, there are the trainees, like people who want to train and eventually use this app. There are, of course, the trainers. And of course, like as part of this ecosystem, like the gym owners, the studios, that maybe we want to go and advertise their products or their services to the ecosystem. Thinking about this, and probably you can keep going and adding more people. But what I want to do here is eventually, when I look at these three potential segments, I want to make sure what we are building, and especially in our first 2 quarters, eventually has enough scale. And then later on, as we are moving towards like the first, second, third year, we can keep expanding it to the other segments. So thinking about the scale, in my opinion, the trainees is like the right group to focus first. And then we can start adding the other teams or other segments to this product. Now within trainees, I think I want to go and do a sub-segmentation. There are different groups and people have different needs when you build for them a fitness app. And looking at
just real quick question on like focusing on trainees. So these are people who are like coming to exercise. Are we focusing on them because like the trainers and gym studios might depend on us having a healthy ecosystem of trainees?
This is like one, but also in first, yes, we definitely have this kind of like people who are giving the services and who needs the services. So this kind of a marketplace here. We do want to see that there is enough demand, but I also say that in terms of the impact, in terms of the scale, my feeling is that for the first phase, for the MVP, I think we can definitely focus on the trainees because will provide like the scale here is like way broader. But you have a good point about this, like 2 sides that eventually we need to make sure there's enough demand as well.
Yeah. Let's look into like how you would segment the trainees.
Okay, so on the trainees, I will look at like, I would say, I'll have like 3 sub-segments. And one of them will be like, let's say, low frequency. and I'll talk more about what does it mean.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll do my sub-segmentation based on frequency. There will be like the low frequency, medium frequency, and let's say high frequency. And what is like low frequency? Let's say I'm just starting my fitness journey. Or let's say I have no motivation and my physician told me to start exercising because I have health issues. There are people, let's say, on the medium frequency that they say you've been exercising and let's say they want to explore new activities, reach out to their goals, but this is like eventually people who've been working out. It can be like once a week, once every 2 weeks. They have no motivation problems, but maybe they need some help to achieve something. And the high frequency for me, it can be the professionals or people that this is like a major part of their lives, And the reason why I did this sub-segmentation, because each one of these groups has different needs. And this was like my thought process here. Now, to go, the next step is we don't want to go and build a product that eventually addressing problems for all of them, because it's like too many things to do at once. So that's why I want to go and discuss a quick prioritization exercise, do a quick prioritization. And my prioritization will be based on, let's say, impact and scale. What I will do now, I'll go through these sub-segments and I'll think about impact. Eventually, a new fitness app will be most helpful for which of these groups. And then I'll come and say, okay, if it's like a small impact, medium, or high impact. And the same I will do on the scale side. For each one of the sub-segments, I will come and think about who is the most, who is the major group here. And let's say if I go through this exercise and I assign my small, medium, high indications, I would say for me, a good group to focus on will be the medium frequency people. There are people like me that go to the gym or run from time to time, but they're always interested to have a better system, let's say, to track their goals, or need some more help, or need some more motivation, or even match them with other people as well for their workouts. And this is kind of the main group that I would like to focus for our exercise.
Cool. Is there a reason why we wouldn't focus on the low frequency if maybe this might be maybe the largest group of users, what I'd imagine?
Yeah, so my opinion, when I thought about the scale, the impact there will be significant, because if we really manage to bring someone who has health issues to start working out and get better, this is a clear value to the user. But in my opinion, when you look at the medium frequency, impact here maybe can be between medium to high, but scale here, in my opinion, is also medium to high. My feeling is if I take these two parameters into account, the medium frequency users or this sub-segment is most significant. In terms of impact, I believe that the low frequency is way more important. But I think if we start from the medium frequency and target larger audience, next step will be eventually go and target people who have really health problems or need this extra motivation, and we can address with new capabilities the low frequency user group after.
Makes sense, yeah. What would be some pain points for people who are medium frequency?
Cool. So I think I can jump now to the pain points, but I also like to think about it as a journey. And I would say when you think about exercising or fitness, I would say you can look at, and this is kind of maybe more advanced thinking, but you can go and say, okay, there's the pre-workout, let's say pre-workout phase. Then there's the workout itself, training, and then it can be post-workout. So I think if we had enough time, we could go and take each one of these phases, these three phases, and look at where are the pain points for each one of the phases and prioritize them. This was just a general interesting approach that if you have more time during your interview, you can definitely walk the interviewer through this. I won't do it, just I want to share it, but let's focus on pain points for, I would say, the general journey. And the pain points is that when I'm thinking about, let's say, myself, that I work out from time to time, there is like no good way for me, let's say, to track my goals or understand where I want to be and how to achieve them. So this is like, for example, one pain point. Second is that not once, I do want to see like, get some benchmarking, to see like what other people in my age group or my fitness level are doing and how to get better. Third is not once, and especially when you think about the Facebook ecosystem, you want to see what new activities are there and go and like diversify the fitness activities that you are doing. So I would say other activities, how to find them. More pain points is that not once, like when you go and do your workouts, you don't really know like what is the right nutrition. Is it pre-workouts? What do you need to drink or eat during? Are there anything supplements that you can take after? So all of this is something that most of the people are looking for information or need some guidance how to get there. So this is like the fourth one. And I would say when you think about fitness, not once there are issues with like how do you recovery, like how do you avoid injuries and things like that, that you always like need to get some guidance and always need to get some more information from other sources. So I think eventually this can be like a interesting pain point, how to avoid eventually potential injuries, and this can be interesting pain point to solve for. Are there any other pain points you think I should consider here?
I think we could start with these. Maybe like one question I would have is just like how these pain points are specific to people with medium frequency. I think some of these pain points might be included for people with like low frequency. Yeah, maybe I like your thoughts there, but we don't have to focus too much time on that. I'd love to hear also just like how you'd prioritize these.
Yeah, so just to answer your first question about like the low frequency, and when I say low frequency, like let's say the people who like never worked out and is just starting the journey. So for them, there will be like a lot of recommendations on, let's say, workout plans. So that's why we are not covering it here. It can be like people who have, let's say, health issues that their physician told them to start exercising, and then you need to take into account more parameters here that about their health condition, maybe vital signs. So it kind of makes the product more complicated. And that's why my pain points are kind of more suitable for people who been in this journey of working out or doing some fitness activities.
Yeah, makes sense.
And another pain point can be even like if I want to go and look for, let's say, group exercising, because I'm already into this, I want to have it something more interesting, and let's go and I need some platform or some solution to help me to diversify my activities. Now, the way I will do the prioritization, and we can use here similar parameters that we used to prioritize user segmentation. Here, like I sometimes add, besides let's say impact or scale, I like to think about let's say Meta's mission or Facebook mission and see how we are aligned, like how this pain point eventually is aligned with the mission. So when you go and come back to what we said about the mission is building communities, bringing the world closer together. So you can come and say, maybe, okay, maybe group exercising is the right one because you bring together people. But then when you come and start looking at the other parameters as well, and I'll use here the same scale for impact scale and Meta's mission, I'll use like a small, medium, and high for each one of them. So let's say when I'm thinking about tracking my goals, I think in terms of impact, this is kind of applies to all the people that I know, like maybe they won't use it, but it's still relevant for them. So I would say between medium to high and scale, it's the same. Like, I think this is kind of a very common pain point to most of the people, and I'll say medium to high as well. In terms of Meta's mission, it's not about building communities and bringing people together, but definitely if there is a way to track my goals in a group or with other people or sharing it, I would say this is will be like a good trigger for conversations and discussions around how to reach these goals. So I'll say, I'll call it, I'll assign a medium to this one, but definitely this is like, will be my process of going through all these pain points. And I would say we can, in terms of time, we are not going to cover each one of them. I think I'll go and choose tracking my goals as a pain point that I want to solve for. As I mentioned, group exercising can be awesome because it's very aligned with the Meta's mission. But in terms of scale, I don't think that many people, not everyone is like interested in group exercising, but in terms of impact, it would be also between small to medium. So this is my way of thinking about prioritization. So I think
of course. And like just to be clear, like in the real interview, like you would maybe like take a subset of these pain points and then form some kind of prioritization matrix there. But just for the sake of the time for this video, that's why we're not doing that.
So I would say it's totally fine maybe to choose one or two pain points. I know that some companies like you to build like one product that solves for everything. In this case, in the Meta case, I think it's totally fine to go and focus on one or two pain points.
Cool. Yeah, let's take a look at tracking my goals as a pain point.
Cool. Just give me a few seconds here. So on the solution side, it's always like nice, I think, to mention, I don't know, 3 to 5 solutions. I think I will start from, let's say, my first solution will be around like setting goals by fitness influencer. And this is eventually will be like a product or a new service that specific fitness influencer that we are interested in. Let's say it's someone who is like a professional expert in running. That person will eventually set you a program and will follow your progress along as you make your next steps here. The second one can be like a kind of event tracker or event timeline. And the same as we share moments on, let's say, the Facebook app today, this will be like a event timeline that will eventually capture our workouts, capture different parameters that we want as part of the workout and be able to share it with the community, and we can get feedback or we can get different encouragements from the people who are following us. So this will be like my second solution. I mentioned that what I want to see is like eventually tracking my goals. I want to see that I'm making progress over time. So there can be always some VR-based solution that eventually will show me like where I am now and when I want to be in a few months. And this will be like what will motivate me and will show me the journey. So when you visualize your solution, it will be like way better for you to get there. So I would say I can go and keep adding more solutions. Let's start, let's stop with these 3 solutions. The way that I would do here, when I'm thinking about prioritization here, here I'm adding another parameter, and this will be, I would say, level of effort. Eventually, someone needs to go and build it. So level of effort will be the next one. I can go and say like scale and maybe, again, Meta's mission. It all depends on like the parameters you choose. I would say when you go and look at this and, maybe it can be Meta's mission as well. So going through the same way of prioritization of choosing small, medium, high with the level of effort for each one of them. When you look at VR-based solution, this is like maybe like way higher like level of effort. But in terms of scale, like eventually you will need to go and, in this case, there's probably some hardware and not only software. So maybe the scale here will be like small to medium. And in terms of mission, it's kind of questionable as well. So this is, for example, as much as it sounds like very interesting, this will be like my lowest priority. When I'm thinking about setting goals by fitness influencers, I think as you mentioned earlier about like the trainers and eventually creating this ecosystem of experts who are providing classes or guiding you and who needs eventually the guidance. This can be like a good starting point to start creating this ecosystem. And in this case, level of effort, we already have some products built. So maybe level of effort here will be like between small to medium. And then scale, in my opinion, is pretty significant. And Meta's mission, eventually connecting people, will be like, I would say, between medium to high. So for this, like, for the purpose of this exercise, I would say I will definitely focus on creating this product that connects influencers and say people want to exercise, but there will be like a very predefined working plan when I'm someone who wants to go and start like my fitness journey or enhance my fitness journey. I'll have a clear plan through a chat or through a video, and I'll be able to track my progress and share it with others. Just like before we finish this one, I think it's always also important to mention what to be your launch metric. And let's say in this case, we want to see, maybe not daily, but we definitely want to see like weekly active users. Weekly active users, the number of weekly active users is increasing. And if we want to like add a guardrail metric that we mentioned in the beginning, let's say we are adding to the product an option to report if you got injured or you're not feeling well. We want to make sure, so it's like more users are using our fitness product, the number of injuries is not increasing significantly over time. So I think this will be, if there will be a way to report on injuries in the product, we want to make sure that as we are increasing the number of users, the level of injuries is not growing as well. So this is like how I think about like a fitness product for Facebook.
Cool. Thanks, Ariel, for this awesome walkthrough on how you think about how you build a fitness product for Facebook. I love this. I'm wondering if now for like maybe the remaining of the video, if you have any tips for the viewers who might be going through their own PM interview process.
Yeah, so I think first, doing mocks is really helpful and not sticking to your own like framework, but keep changing it. Like for example, when we started the interview, I mentioned that I have different ways to ask clarifying questions. And it's totally fine if you like doing your process as you're preparing for the interview, you keep testing and adding and changing and adjusting the questions that you're asking. Also, having the flexibility is very important along the journey. Some people are sticking to selecting one pain point or like to some very clear framework. We could do this exercise and I could go and select multiple pain points and solve for all these pain points at the same time. But being able to adjust and your flow, this is something you get only over time. So I don't think you need to be experienced product manager, but you definitely need to show empathy to the problems that the users have, and at the same time being very flexible with the framework or with the flow that you're using during the interview. So this is like my main advice.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that a good way for a PM to show that they have empathy is when they're going through those pain points, like tracking goals, benchmarking, nutrition, like call out the emotions that the user would probably be feeling, right? Like if you're tracking your goals, maybe like they feel anxiety, like they don't know if they're tracking the right goals. Yeah, thanks for the great tips there. And for the viewers at home, good luck with your upcoming PM interview.
Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons below to let us know that this video was valuable for you. And of course, check out hundreds more videos just like this at tryexponent.com. Thanks for watching and good luck on your upcoming interview.